Welcome to As Above.
So below,
I am Keisha Lee, the Psychic Yogi.
and I'm Cidnee Rich, and this is the new moon in Virgo session, cosmic chat, energy read, and meditation. So welcome. We are in Virgo season. We have this lovely new moon. It is the first new moon after that big, obviously after the last full moon that we just had, the Aquarius super moon. So it's the beginning of this new cycle, this new phase, this new energy that we were talking about then. And as we step into fall, which we love that mutable energy of Virgo, we're starting to see that shift. We're starting to see that change. And I myself have noticed a lot of people, just like on Twitter, speaking about like this shift is happening, the shift is here. You guys feel that shift? So collectively, I think we're all experiencing there's a shift, there's a change in the energy, and that is, I definitely feel like being more grounded with this Virgo season, this new moon. Definitely a perfect manifesting new moon, setting those intentions and really understanding what it is that we need to feel cared for, what we need to feel nurtured, what we need to feel like someone is helping us do and be who we came here to be. Virgo is a very service oriented energy, and sometimes to a fault, it exports that service. And so I think with the new moon, it's allowing ourselves to assist ourselves. How can we help ourselves in whatever ways that may look like, whether that's just being a little bit more attentive to how we're feeling or attentive to our body needs, cleaning things up, if it's literal, like our literal space and environment, or if it's just like maybe even on our technology, right? I was just talking about social media, but Mercury rules Virgo and Mercury also rules Gemini, so it's connected to technology. But even like your memory on your phone, like your pictures and things like that, because purging or cleansing is really a way to kind of like detach yourself from old energy. And so even if that's like cleaning out your closet, I just did that too. That's funny. Or just like, oh, I don't need all these pictures from whenever. That process of removing is kind of connected to that purity energy of Virgo. And so Virgo is also connected to the throat chakra, which I find interesting because I never made that connection, but Spirit Camp is teaching me too. But it's basically mutable signs, even though it's Taurus rules the throat with the body. It's mutable energy that's connected to the throat chakra. So Virgo, Gemini, Sagittarius. And I think it has a lot to do with the need to be able to adapt and be flexible. And there's Vishuddha is the throat chakra, and it means purification. And so talking about it from a Virgo point of view with this new moon, when you purify something, you're just kind of distilling it down to like its essence and its truth. And so with this, we're really like trying to distill what it is that we just genuinely need, that is just true without any bells and whistles, for us to feel cared for, nurtured, or creating the environment for things to bloom and grow and be really grounded so that we can have it. And so what maintenance are we needing to do? And I think that is how that purification is coming through with this energy, is like, okay, maybe we do need to like clean some things up in our space or on our phones or in our thoughts, right? How we're approaching something. I can preach into the choir. Like I myself was just talking to Kisha. I need to probably shift how I look at certain things and just not care about it, or not real, or realize and put it in its place that it's not that big of a deal. Um, but yeah, that sense of like, how can we heal ourselves with this new moon and set ourselves up for like, success as we move forward into Libra season, literal forward movement, right? And with this full moon coming up, allowing us to release some of these things that we're cleaning up now, or the purification we're doing, right? Because the new moon cycles for 2 weeks. So it's not like we have to hurry up and do it all tonight. You have the whole 2 weeks while the moon is waning to kind of do that new moon ritual of bringing things in. And so making some space for stuff throughout that time period can be, you can take that whole 2 weeks, right? You can take your time once again with that earth energy. You don't have to rush. And also, like, just be mutable once again. Like, it's about being flexible, which I find is interesting associated with Virgo energy, because sometimes it seems as if it's like a very rigid energy, but it isn't. It's earth energy, but it's the mutable earth energy. So it can change and it can shift and it can be aware of where it is and how it needs to show up and what works and what doesn't anymore. So it is very maintenance oriented. And I looked up the definition of service. So the noun definition is the action of helping or doing work for someone.
I think
And
you froze for a minute.
am I back? Am I back? Okay. So service, the action of helping or doing something for someone. And the verb is performing a routine maintenance or repair work. So if we think about that and we replace someone with ourselves, so what are we doing to help ourselves? Like I said, this is all about, this new moon is to help assist ourselves in something, whether it's, new dreams and aspirations, or, tidying things up so we can continue on the path that we're on, or whatever it is, cleaning the house, whatever it is, what's going to help you be more in alignment with where you're trying to go, what you're trying to do, who you are now, and what, matters and what you want to actually tend to long term. And that comes from a place of truth and honesty, which goes back to the throat chakra. To not be honest with yourself is to be, lack of a better phrase, impure, right? Like, you're being, to not be in truth, there's something um speckled in your magic, right? Like, it's not pure, it's not clean, because you're not being honest. And honesty is about being, it's not about other people. It's about being honest with yourself and what it is that you really want. And when you do that with a new moon intention setting, you're really going to set yourself up, or can set yourself up for actually getting that. Just being honest and be like, hey, I'm not going to pretend that I don't want XYZ. I want XYZ. And by that honesty, you're actually creating a more fertile environment for that to come in and actually start to grow. So thinking of it that way, just like tending to the soil, getting the weeds out, that's that purification too. And the weeds just might be old beliefs, old thoughts, old people, old things, old energy, however that might resonate with you, but purifying your essence so you can be more in alignment with whatever it is that you might want to have. And then I just wanted to mention the idea of, like, really checking in 6 months. Give yourself that 6 months growth period to see how your manifestations have come to bloom or come to harvest after you've purified and gotten really clear on what it is that you actually want and the work that you may need to do in order to get that. And so checking in on the full moon in Virgo and Pisces season, that gives you that reference point. And we're about to go into eclipse season, so we'll talk about that next time with the full moon, but we're about to get to it, y'all. The change is here. Okay, what is the collective message for the new moon in Virgo? What is the collective message for the new moon in Virgo? Not the gosh darn Queen of Pentacles. That's that girl. That's Virgo energy all day. Love that. Wow, okay. So 5 of Swords reverse. So this has to do with that truth aspect, right? Swords energy, air energy, Mercury energy, communication. So a reverse Five of Swords is changing the where our mind is going, or conversations that we have with people, or what we have with ourselves, that just is like a dead end. Right? This is putting the sword down and saying, you know what, this is a losing battle, and I'm not going to continue to go back and forth or to try to think myself into circles about something, when really I just need to put this down and be willing to mutate, change, adapt, be flexible with what I thought I might have wanted, or what I thought, is happening currently. So I love that this came out reverse. It's a release of that so that we can, right? It's a purification concept there, which is really cool. Wow. Okay. We're all in the head, all up in the head. Cue Beyonce. Her birthday's tomorrow. Shout out Queen B. Eight of Pentacles. Excuse me. Eight of Pentacles is Virgo and Venus energy, but Eight of Swords reversed. This is literally getting out of your head. Get out of your head, get into your soul, which is where your truth lies. And then that can help you, guide you on your journey of your manifestations and what it is that you really want, and where you need to assist yourself, and realize that you do have help. Sometimes when the Eight of Swords comes up upright, it feels like there is no solution. There's always a solution if we allow ourselves to be flexible in the mind and listen more to the soul, right? This Eight of Swords speaks about using our intuition instead of our ego, our mental space. And last, okay, so Spirit said it's all about the swords, y'all. It's all about the mind. And that's Virgo to a T. We have the Three of Swords. So, God, this is so perfect. It's saying with the Five of Swords reversed and the Eight of Swords, letting go, putting down things, thoughts, actions that hurt us. What is it? Whatever is creating grief in our lives, through however we're thinking about something, or how we're connecting with something, or how we are interacting with something. It's like we have the ability to be flexible, to be adaptable, to change, and have a fresh new beginning with this new moon. But it requires that maintenance, and like checking in and servicing ourselves in order to really release the things that cause the Three of Swords. The Three of Swords, that hurts. That's not good feeling. And we have the ability to nurture ourselves. Queen of Swords, right? Queen of Swords, Queen of Pentacles. She's the mother. She's the mother. She's the nurturer. She's the caregiver. And so Spirit's saying, how can we give to ourselves, caregive ourselves, nurture ourselves, mother ourselves in a way that mentally makes us feel relief? Woo, because Lord, I know we all know how it feels to be in our heads. And so Virgo season can definitely highlight that, but I think that it also helps us kind of relieve that space so we can start new ways of thinking about things. So bless.
That makes a lot of sense. Cause I be all up in my head. This big old head got a lot of room to roam around up in there. So, um, which is interesting because people have said on the outside, they're like, well, you seem pretty like, pretty grounded. And I'm like, really? All right, that's cool. The inside ain't matching the outside all the time, but okay. But with that being said, as far as shifting perspectives, as far as opportunities to let go and get out of our heads, and just allow our connection to a higher source, a higher power to work magic in and through our lives. Last night I was listening to some money affirmations, going to sleep, and then at some point I was just kind of like, I think I've listened to enough. And I put it on some meditation music and was just kind of like, you know what I really want? I think I know what I want, but oftentimes it comes from that linear thinking of this is what I feel like I don't have. And so then the solution would be to go to this. And it tends to be very linear, and it tends to be very in that headspace of trying to problem solve, right? Trying to strategize and trying to plan. And all those, though, although those are beneficial traits to have, it keeps us in this more masculine based system, and it doesn't necessarily bring us the desires that we truly have within our soul. That is more feminine based energy to work with. It's a more of a feminine realm to work with. And we know that in order for you to really cultivate the magic, the potency that lies within you, you have to be able to have both. Okay, so the linear thinking of problem solving gives you, like I said, strategy, gives you the ability to construct something, but having that soul recognition of what it is that you really desire is also what's going to fuel that. It's what's going to it's kind of like the strategizing, the planning is more so of like the scaffold, the foundation. And then to fill it, it's like when you're building a house, the structure of the house would be that linear thinking of, this is how I'm going to plan it. This is a strategy, this is the blueprint, that kind of thing. And then the feminine comes in and actually makes it a home, right? Makes it feel like something. And so as I was meditating last night, I was giving myself Reiki and stuff. And what came to me is, you can only obviously solve a problem so much, right? Based on the perspective of the mind that created it. And so what I realized is, I was like, in order for me to get out of my head and more in tune with what it is that I really desire, what's possible out there, I was like, I, you know what, God, I want what you want for me. I want what God wants for me at this point. Because clearly I don't know what the hell I want and what I'm doing. Because then I get it and I'm like, I should have been a little more, you know, I don't know, like precise with that, or I should have been a little more detailed, or I should have been, and then I get back in my head about stuff. But with me, I was just kind of like, I want what God wants for me. And then when that opportunity presents itself, then I'll deal with, how I'm thinking or feeling in that moment. But allowing myself to be able to be open and recognize and have a soul resonance, like, oh, okay, because I am connected to source, and knowing that when that opportunity comes, I will know, I will feel it. I'm in tune enough with myself, with my body as an instrument of divination, right? We, we have a gut feeling, and it's funny because Virgo they tend to be known to have like digestive issues or sensitivities to digestion and stuff like that. But also with it being an earth sign, food is, creature comforts is going to be very important. And nourishing yourself with not only food, but all the other things that you take in. Because sometimes when we're working with new moon energy and we're manifesting our desires and intentions, we sometimes do that from a place of lack, or recognizing what we don't have and then trying to strategize ways to get it. But if we don't actually take the time to tune into our soul and its deepest yearnings, what it truly wants to express, what it wants to create, what it wants to experience, or even contribute, right? Being of service orientation, um with Virgo energy, then it's kind of like we tend to have a lot of opinions swirling around. We tend to have other people's input. We tend to have subconscious expectations of what we should, could, and would, need to do when it comes down to society, or culture, community, and things like that. And unfortunately, sometimes those desires, when we come from the mental realm, they really come out of survival, right? And we don't really want to manifest from survival. Okay. You want to be able to manifest from a place that's authentic, a place that feels like it's really calling your heart, is calling your soul, right? Something that's kind of undeniable. And a lot of times we will deny those things because we haven't given ourselves permission to step into that space of the unknown, to stay curious, to use our sense of wonder and imagination to our benefit instead of using it to create fear-based structures and, negative internal dialogue or doubt and worry and anxiety and stuff like that. So I personally, during this Virgo new moon, it feels very introspective, feels very much like hermit mode. And I realize also, like, I've actually been in a bit of a hermit mode for a while now. Um, at first I was noticing it like maybe the last like 9 months or so. I've noticed like I feel very isolated, but not in a way. And I noticed this because the intentions that I set 9 months ago, probably. I probably should check. But the intentions that I set then, it's shifting my reality. And because it's shifting my reality, I also am in this hermit mode to continue to work on myself, better myself, gain more clarity on what it is that I desire. And I realize also in just contemplation and meditation that all the great leaders had like this time of solitude, a significant time of solitude before their soul's work came into the world, right? You think of like Jesus and Buddha and Gandhi and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and even like as a Reiki practitioner, like Dr. Mikao Usui went to meditate and fasted for 21 days in the mountains. So we hear about all these great leaders having significant time to sit with themselves and to connect with spirit. And in that space of quote unquote isolation, they were able to download what it is. They were able to receive the information that they needed in order to really catalyze their dreams into something greater, right? And to be of service in a way that was greater than they may have anticipated. But they heeded the call, and I now realize that that time of isolation, that hermit mode, it's not about yeah, it's about obviously being introverted, but it's not about like pushing others away. It's about turning inwards and dropping from the head space down to the heart space and actually further into the body to what it is that your soul really desires. And so now I look at it as sacred solitude, right? It like the hermit mode is sacred solitude. It's with intention. It is not of isolation because you are with spirit, you're with yourself, your higher self, and listening, taking time to be still, to listen to what that deeper calling is. And so if something has really been kind of running through the mind, or you're feeling that there's something happening, a shift that is happening, whether it's, within the collective or internally you're experiencing this, I would highly suggest taking time in sacred solitude to meditate, to contemplate, to be still, to be quiet, to speak less, and listen more, and to ask yourself, right? Ask yourself, what is it that I really desire? What is it that I yearn for? What is it that I truly want to experience in various aspects of my life? So whether it is in like your area of purpose or deepening your connection with spirit or love and intimacy or health, prosperity, abundance, finances, career, whatever it is, if you feel like something is not quite what you want it to be, then give yourself permission to explore something deeper and just listening to the deeper most inner parts of yourself and asking, what do I really desire and yearn to experience in this area of my life? And then as you ask yourself that, the mind has to figure it out. And so you may find that something does come to mind, but you don't want to try to go into it with this rationale or this justification or this just trying to figure it out. You want to feel it out. Right. And that's what's really going to lead you to what's next. I find in a way that's more authentic, that's more truthful, that's more aligned, that is more I want to say probably better than you would expect, right? And just continuing to return to source, that source within you, that source above and below, and allowing yourself to really just listen and go deeper into what it is that you feel versus what it is that you may be thinking. And when I say feel, I don't necessarily mean from the heart space, I mean even deeper, right? Than the heart space, going deeper, because the heart space is, don't get me wrong, I love the heart space, is great. But it's a bridge, okay? And to really find more balance and harmony and fulfillment of our whole self, we need to also acknowledge not just the upper chakras, which holds our higher self and our connection to spirit and what's in our heart space, but we also need to honor and acknowledge that lower aspect of ourselves, our ego self. But when I say ego, I mean more of like the human part of us, right? That is, because we know we're spiritual beings having a human experience, but we're also still human beings having a spiritual experience as well. And so we kind of forget that sometimes, because the former, being a spiritual being having a human experience, is all over, it's widely known saying. But remembering that we're also human beings having a spiritual experience allows us to bring both aspects of ourselves together. And from there, to me, that is more potent in working our magic in a season such as the Virgo new moon and Virgo season, where we can bring these higher ways of thinking, these concepts, these dreams into a reality, and still stay adaptable with what presents itself and how we want that to show up. So,
Perfection.
thank you.
Okay, sweet. Well, thank you guys. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on As Above, So Below, we will be back for the full moon, which is going to be the first in a series of eclipses as we're shifting nodes soon. So like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yes, blessings to your new moon manifestations and embodying those realities. I love that message. Okay, bye.